In this video, we shall try to do an oversimplified psychological diagnosis of Lady Macbeth and understand how repressing emotions can affect one's actions. Before beginning, let us go back and see how the human mind functions. Each of us have a conscious mind and a subconscious mind. The conscious mind is aware of the present moment and engages in logical thinking and decision-making. The subconscious mind operates below the level of awareness, influencing thoughts, emotions, and behavior based on past experiences and beliefs. It can reflect desires that are deeply rooted or hidden within an individual. Now, while the conscious mind can exert some control over the subconscious, it does not necessarily repress it. Repression refers to the unconscious defense mechanism by which unacceptable thoughts, desires, or memories are pushed out of conscious awareness. However, the subconscious mind can still influence the conscious mind, and repressed content may occasionally resurface in dreams, slips of the tongue, or through therapeutic techniques. Using this psychological framework, we can analyze the motives behind the actions of Lady Macbeth and see how she becomes the victim of a mental dissociation that arises because of unstable daydreaming and the emotional shocks of her past experiences. This past experience that causes such deep disturbance in her is the loss of her child. Although it is much debated whether she indeed had a child or not, but in Act 1, Scene 7, she clearly mentions that at some point she had given suck and know how tender 'tis to love the babe that milks me. Shakespeare does not reveal what became of the child. We just know that she is now childless. Now Lady Macbeth's daydreams reflect her desire to become queen and put an heir on the throne as compensation for her childlessness. In the process, she redefines sexual roles for herself and her husband and creates the new heir, her husband, who is an unnatural heir after the murder of Duncan. Unlike other Shakespearean women characters, Lady Macbeth is extremely isolated and has no companion or female confidant. Her life centers completely on her husband, with whom she shares a deep bond. She is his dearest partner of greatness. He is the only person she reveals her thoughts to. However, Macbeth is a man of the state, and the requirements of the kingdom, society, and friendship are more prominent to Macbeth than to her, and hence, she finds them easier to break. This is why we see Macbeth have his doubts about killing Duncan early in the play, while Lady Macbeth appears nonchalant. So, this isolation leads to Lady Macbeth's daydreaming, self-centeredness, and hysteria, as we see in her reactions to Macbeth's letter. She suppresses her fear and assumes a bravery that she really does not possess. She represses her womanly nature, her compassion, humanity, and cowardice. Compare this to Macbeth, whose face always reflects his fear because it is always near his conscious thoughts. After Duncan's murder, while Macbeth expresses his fear, Lady Macbeth chooses to repress her feelings when she says, "These deeds must not be thought, as it will make us mad." She shows a false face to everyone, including herself, but her true self is only revealed in her unconscious state, when she is sleeping. While awake, she seeks to dominate the situation to achieve her obsessive ambition for her husband. While preparing for the murder, she is calculating and manipulative Macbeth. But afterwards, Lady Macbeth actively avoids thinking about what she has done. Progressively, her unconscious works on her and betrays her in her dreams. It does not seem accidental that her mental fragility increases as the bond between husband and wife weaken. Her repressed fears emerge and cause her to go into her sleepwalking state, in which she enacts a condensed panorama of her crimes. Lady Macbeth's predisposition towards daydreaming, the sublimation of her desire for a child, and the repression of her guilt over Duncan's murder lead to this mental state. While sleepwalking, Lady Macbeth repeatedly acts out the events connected to and resulting from Duncan's murder. Macbeth's murder of Banquo, the murder of Macduff's wife and children, Macbeth's terror at the banquet, the letter of the witch's prophecy. All these events torment her, demonstrating to the audience not only repressed guilt at her own crimes, but guilt at helping to create a man who could commit these crimes. The central symbol of her guilt and fear is the smell and sight of blood. She demonstrates compulsive neurosis in the continual washing of her hands, which she feels are contaminated. A little water cannot clear her of the deed which cannot be undone. Her contamination is of both body and soul. Awake, Lady Macbeth exhibits emotionless cruelty, while in a somnambulistic state she shows pity and remorse. Her sleeping personality must be taken as her true one because the unconscious is uninhibited and uncensored. Her true self is more powerful than the false warrior queen she plays in her waking hours. She ends in a state which is neither awake nor asleep. Unable to live the lie or face the truth, her only escape is death. Thus, her inability to repress her emotions or come to terms with her true self caused her to take her life. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe our channel.